How's it going, Starseekers? My name's Gotcake, and in this review we're going to be taking a look at Towaga Among Shadows. Now before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button if this review helps you out. I review a lot of smaller Switch indie games that no one else seems to be covering, so if that's something you're interested in, why not consider subscribing to the channel. So Towaga is an action arcade game where you play as a young tribal warrior called Chimu, or Chimu, who possesses the ability to harness the power of light, and uses it to fight back the hordes of shadowy enemies unleashed on the world by Metnal the Voidmonger. It originally released on Apple Arcade, but has recently made the jump across to the Switch. So the game opens with a cutscene showing Metnal the Voidmonger cackling like a madman as he unleashes his wrath on the world. Next we see our protagonist emerge from a portal, and he's greeted by a bird-like creature called Kuro, who informs him that the Voidwalker is hunting them down. Now this place acts as the main menu, and for now most of the options are locked, but we can check out the options menu which has sound and vibration toggles, as well as info on the game's simple controls. Heading into single player we find 4 modes: Story Mode, Survival, Flying, and the Void Realm, but at the moment only Story is unlocked. Before we get started we can hit the Y button to see the assist mode option, which we can toggle on and off, and when it's active it makes things easier by increasing our health and damage by 50%. Leaving it off for now, we can jump into the game's prologue level. So as it starts, Kuro informs us that our first mission is to purify 5 shrines. Our first enemy then appears and we're taken through the game's tutorial. Now the majority of gameplay in Towaga sees us standing in one spot, unable to move, and we use our right thumbstick to direct our light beam at enemies. These enemies come at us in waves, and we simply need to destroy all of them to complete the level, or phase as it's called in this game. Our health bar can be seen in the top left, and when it's depleted we'll fail the phase. Now aside from our basic light beam, we also get an assortment of spells which are unlocked as we play through the main story. These include the Wind Gush spell, which creates a shockwave knocking back enemies around you, the Freeze Beam, which slows and freezes enemies in the direction that you point it, and the Earth Shock, which petrifies nearby enemies and projectiles. Using a spell costs 1 mana, seen as a diamond below our health, and mana recharges over time. It's also worth noting that spells have a short cooldown period between uses. So once we complete the prologue, we're rewarded with a few shards, and are sent back to the main menu where we now find the other menu options unlocked. Firstly we have the profile menu, which is basically where we spend the shards rewarded after every phase to upgrade our character. The build menu is where we upgrade our stats, such as max health points, mana points, beam damage, and beam width. And each stat has several upgrade levels, and the number of shards required increases with every upgrade. We can also upgrade our spells, which again have several levels and increase in cost for each level, and depending on the spell these upgrades increase things such as area of effect or damage. The second menu we unlock is the Codex menu, and this basically contains all of the game's lore. As we play through the game we'll obtain many different collectibles such as diary entries, relics and memories, which basically flesh out the game's story. We also unlock bestiary entries as we encounter enemies, and these give us additional information about the foes that we face. The final menu is the Trials menu, which contain different challenges, which reward us with shards as we complete them through gameplay. So heading back into the game we continue to battle our way through the phases as we work to purify the first shrine. Now we only encounter dog-like creatures and bats at the moment, but the game contains plenty of other enemies that we encounter further on. These include these flying enemies that fire projectiles at us, the fast-moving warper enemies that leap on us when they get close enough, and the slow-moving bomb enemies that explode dealing a massive amount of damage. Now after clearing a few phases the shrine blesses us and takes us to the skies. These flying levels form the second style of gameplay, which takes on more of a twin-stick shooter format, allowing us to move with our left thumbstick. For some bizarre reason though, we're not able to use our spells in flying phases. As with ground phases, our objective is simple: use our light beam to destroy all the enemies that spawn to complete the phase. Following this first flying phase, we'll unlock the game's survival and flying modes, and return to the ground where Metnal pops up, and we face him in the first of several boss fights in the game. Now each boss fight features its own unique mechanics and usually require you to use specific spells to help you defeat them. After beating back Metnal, we purify the shrine and unlock a new spell. And then we return to the main menu where Kuro informs us that we purify the first of 4 shrines. We then continue onward purifying the rest of the shrines, before eventually facing off against Metnal. So after completing the main game we unlock the Void Realm, which is a shorter, more difficult campaign consisting of 20 phases, which sees the strength of our abilities reduced. When we're done with this, we can play survival or flying modes, where we defeat endless waves of enemies and try to stay alive as long as possible. There are 2 leaderboards for each survival mode, one being an all-time high score leaderboard, and the other a leaderboard which resets weekly. The final game mode available to us is multiplayer, which offers local versus mode for up to 4 players. Multiplayer mode sees you gathering mana to activate your light beam and trying to destroy your opponents as the arena shrinks around you. So I think I've covered all the gameplay elements that Towaga has to offer, so I'll now share my gameplay experience and opinions of it. I'll start by saying that I thought the game's visuals were its best aspect. The game's environments had some great details, and character and enemy designs were really well animated. When it comes to gameplay though, I was less impressed. Apart from the unique boss encounters, you spend the rest of the game's phases repelling enemies in the same repetitive fashion, which I quickly found became monotonous and boring. After purifying the first shrine, there's a definite difficulty spike, and I found that I just ended up waving my light beam all over the screen attempting to fight back all the enemies. Gameplay just ended up feeling chaotic, and there seemed to be very little structure or order to enemy waves. And even the game's spells didn't do much to enhance it. What I don't understand is the choice to allow you to only equip one spell at a time, considering different spells work well against different enemy types. Having the ability to switch between spells on the fly would have actually enhanced the gameplay experience. So by phase 20 I was already tired of playing, and I turned on assist mode just to get through the rest of the game for this review. Whilst enemy variety was decent and each presented their own challenge, I just found that any of the uniqueness got lost among the chaos, as I waved my beam about and spammed my spells as fast as they cooled down. Now the game's story does have some interesting elements, but what could have been a beautifully animated and engaging tale just ends up falling flat, as the majority of it is presented as text entries in the codex menu items, or as short animated clips that lack any sort of real explanation. So in all, with Towaga I found gameplay, and in fact the game in general, to be very lacklustre, and beyond the first few phases I can't say that I actually enjoyed much about it. So now we come to rating the game. Now I rate games between 1 and 5 stars, with a shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst games on the eShop. This rating is based on my own personal opinion on what a game has to offer in terms of gameplay and value for money to potential buyers. And for a rating I'd give Towaga Among Shadows 2 out of 5 stars. It's clear that a lot of effort was put into making the game a visually stunning affair, but it's a shame that the same can't be said about its gameplay. It's okay as a simple arcade game, and it might still appeal to you if you like that sort of thing. But considering its high price point, I really don't think you're getting value for money with this one, and I'd definitely recommend waiting for a sale before buying it. You can get the game from the UK Switch eStore, currently with 10% off, for £12.14p, or from the US eStore for $13.49. Alternatively, the game is also available on iOS, and will be coming to Steam and other platforms sometime in the near future. And that's it for this review of Towaga Among Shadows. You can let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit that like button if it helped you out, subscribe for future Switch indie game reviews, and consider joining the Starseekers Discord, where we've got a growing community and I'm always up for a chat. For now though, I just want to say thanks once again for watching, and until next time, game on.